All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave back again, talking real music in real time for some real people out there just like you and just like me. Today, we kind of going off on a tangent here. Ted Nugent gave his own State of the Union address, which I think is really cool. But the rock media, those people over at talkingnose.fishnet, I don't know, just trying to come up with a euphemism here, because everything I have to speak in code today here in the United States. A lot of the videos I do, I use code words, code language, and then I get attacked for it. Basically, because they say this prevents me from being labeled as some kind of a conspiracy theorist, or it gets me by the censors, right? And for those people, that's a bad thing that I'm able to do that. They do not like the fact that I've decided to use different words to describe different problems. Now, Nugent, here's what they say about Ted Nugent. Again, I shouldn't be the only one on YouTube defending Ted Nugent. I'm just putting it out there. I'd like some help. So if you're a YouTuber or you know other YouTubers, you might want to have them, defend Ted Nugent every so often. Excellent guitar player, smartest guy in the rock community by far. I don't know who is smarter than Ted Nugent on a whole host of issues. And he's oftentimes just berated because he doesn't go with the narrative. He doesn't go with the flow. So here's the title of the article. And again, I wish I went to journalism school, because I guess they teach you how to write a headline that gets maximum effect and is designed to do one or two things. For those who agree with it, it tends to reinforce their bias. For those who disagree with it, it tends to make them very, very angry and want to punch the computer screen. Just saying. So Ted Nugent peddles. Now, the word peddles, right, is kind of like the equivalency of saying a snake oil salesman came by today peddling his wares, peddling his false, fake elixir that's supposed to cure all of the things that ail you, right? So pedals is great. Of course, you can get on a bike and pedal somewhere, but no, he's peddling. He's a snake oil salesman. So Ted Nugent peddles 2020 election conspiracy theories and falsehoods in his personal State of the Union address. I'm not even going to get into the meat of what they're talking about here, because the headline itself is already enough for like a half-hour video. Seriously, I might scroll down and take a look at some of the things that they say here. But here's my first challenge to those in the media, and these guys are just an offshoot of the so-called mainstream legacy, whatever you want to call it. When I hear the word legacy, there still hasn't been a good label put on these people. Propagandists, they sort of guard the state. They're watchdogs for the state narrative, and to write like this is a great example of what they do on a daily basis. And people say, oh no, psychology isn't a thing, that mass formation stuff is a shiny new theory. Well, it's done every single day, mass formation. It's done every single day. And by the way, the new topic, of course, is Russia and Ukraine. That's the new topic. We're supposed to pivot away from the thingdemic, even though the behavior of many people involved with that hasn't really changed, because they're still scared. They still believe in all the stuff that was said to them for the past 2 years. Some probably turned off the news because they didn't want to be terrorized anymore. So they just go along with their life in fear. They don't get any updates. They don't get any crucial information. Now, here is my sort of thesis here as to why the media can't just keep doing this and do it with a straight face, because no one has investigated the claims that Ted Nugent made. Who's investigated it? Has anybody? So if it's false, if he's peddling a falsehood, according to these people, who's proven that they're false? In other words, who's gone out, gone on the ground, collected the data, done the research, and come back and said, you know what? Ted Nugent's wrong, right? He's wrong. So there are people that have gone out on the ground, collected data. In fact, from what I understand, Dinesh D'Souza, I think, has a movie coming out, a documentary, which is really going to sort of blow this thing completely wide open, because there's video evidence. There's all kinds of proof that, if the media, and this is one guy, Dinesh D'Souza, right? And yes, he has a bias. He wants to get to the bottom of it, though. Here's what would happen if this was a conspiracy theory and it's just pure falsehoods. We would all just leave it alone. We would say, okay, he won. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. And I think a lot of people now are connecting the dots and saying, well, clearly this guy shouldn't have won, right? Because he's not capable of doing the things he's doing. And then they're thinking to themselves, well, what if this is true, what people like Ted Nugent are saying? What if it was true? It would make sense. I mean, recall back during the election cycle where each candidate would go out and do, an appearance. One candidate had like 10,000 people show up. The other candidate had like 50 people show up. And they were all socially distanced and in their circles and in their bubbles. Funny, the State of the Union, the actual one, not the one that Uncle Ted gave, everybody had taken their chin straps off and their dangling cloth earrings. They have decided all of a sudden that they don't need to do that anymore. I didn't see the 6-foot rule. Nope, didn't see it at the State of the Union. I didn't see anything. I saw people hugging, high-fiving. I mean, what's up with that? I mean, that's a super spreader event, isn't it? I mean, it used to be. So, by the way, see, this is where things can change. Like one moment, a set of facts, supposed facts, helps with a narrative that you have to drill into the subconscious of those people who otherwise are not manipulatable at all. They're just regular people who go through their day and they, for one moment, can't be manipulated by any of this information because psychology doesn't exist. According to Rolling Stone magazine, it just doesn't exist. It's just a shiny new theory for proponents of all of these crazy tinfoil hat conspiracies. So anyway, the first line here is all I needed to read. Uncle Ted, by the way, had him on the show. He reached out to me, crazy, but had him on the show. Much smarter, much smarter than anybody writing these articles. Now, maybe Ted isn't, really good at journalism per se. Like he can't write a really nasty headline like this and get the reaction from, the people who all agree are like, and the people who are reading this and going, oh, WTF, again with the Nugent stuff, again, he's a conspiracy. I mean, guys, you know what Ted believes. Why is this so hard for you guys? This isn't even a story that Ted did because he's a music guy, right? So we have to go and report it and debunk Ted. And in case because here's why they get upset. Because Ted plays guitar and he plays it pretty well. So when he does a video and maybe he even plays his guitar a little bit, he did for me, which was awesome, by the way. People think, oh, he's a musician. I like him. He's a good musician. And now he's going to talk about something. Oh, he's saying some stuff I never hear. Oh, I'm really drawn to this because this sounds like truth to me. See how that works? So they're like, uh-oh, it's kind of like, quick, unplug it, shut it down. Find a way to stop him from transmitting. This is the new normal, by the way, whether you agree with the new narrative about Ukraine and Russia, right? You agree with that. What the media is, and that is like 99% of the people agreeing. And I'll be honest with you, that scares the crap out of me. That, I mean, you have Democrats and Republicans and they're cheering, and again, they're doing the SEAL thing. And I'm sitting there going, uh-oh, uh-oh. Yeah, let's just provoke the bear some more, World War III. And look, most people are going to disagree with me on this, but I just know how these people operate. And when they want you to believe something without any critical thinking or without allowing another opinion or another side to make their case, because they're banning and censoring, like all the Russian media all over the world has just been like basically unplugged. Like if you had an app on your phone, it just disappeared. Or if you had an app on your Roku, it just vanished and the channel is no longer available. That sounds like freedom, doesn't it? That sounds like a really good free speech and democracy kind of place. But that's where we're headed, whether you agree or not. And this is the thing with this whole so-called conspiracy theory about 2020. Has anyone debunked? This is the question of the age, all right? Has anyone debunked? Well, of course, we had 2 years of psychological torture, so somebody needs to be held accountable for that. But going back to 2020, okay, if you want these people to stop with their so-called conspiracy theories, then go out there and prove them wrong. But nobody has. It's lazy to just put a bunch of real nasty words on a headline and tell everybody, yeah, it's been debunked. Everybody knows it's been debunked. Oh, I like this one too. Well, the courts wouldn't hear it. Oh, did the courts do an investigation on this? The courts said it didn't have standing because states are supposed to make these decisions. State legislatures are supposed to get involved, and they're supposed to be investigated at the state level. Now, in some states, there are investigations that are ongoing. I don't know why it's taking 2 years, but here we are. And something or maybe nothing comes of this. The point being is, if the news business with all of their resources wanted to jump in and get involved and just put this to bed so Ted Nugent couldn't make these crazy State of the Union claims, they could do that. They haven't. And this is my point. Until they do, you should be allowed to say, you know what? I don't know if I believe that. Can we say that in America anymore? I don't know if I believe it. I know it was certified. I know he's the duly, let me just say this for all of the censors here. He is the duly elected president based on the results that were certified. He is. I mean, do I like that? No, I don't like it. But there still is another story. And again, I think Dinesh D'Souza, I'm going to be looking for that because the trailer I saw looked really compelling. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you need to do research. You need to get out of your bubble. Your tribe is not going to protect you, right? If you're in the D tribe or the R tribe, it's not going to protect you. It's like, I'm on this team and my team can never be wrong. Like, we can't see any weakness here. Nope. We're okay with taking down the entire country so long as our team isn't wrong. And that's the kind of stuff they've been doing. And now we're on the world stage with World War III looming. And again, to keep that narrative going, which started in 2015 and 2016, the Russian hoax, the Russia collusion, Trump likes Russia and all that stuff. Here we are. This is a manifestation of all of that. And this is what happens when you say words, right? And those words eventually start to penetrate the minds of people, both as our allies and our enemies and the people who live in our country. I mean, everybody can kind of admit now that there were no weapons of mass destruction, right? No weapons. But we ginned up a lot of hatred and a lot of animosity even with people who are very peaceful, who didn't share our religion, who maybe didn't share our way of life, they dressed differently. And for months on end, what we did in a gaslighting agenda is we just made people really hateful. Now, I'm not saying all of those people are perfect, but the point being is that there was irrational fear and hatred that our government caused. And looking back, and it's Monday morning quarterbacking, that was a really bad thing that we did. Because what we did there was we said, okay, this narrative is more important than human beings who've come to live here in the United States peacefully, right? And we need to keep this war machine going. We need to keep feeding it, and we need to grow it. And when we run out of one, we're going to start another. And here we are. I don't know how far that's going to go, and I'm way off track here, but it's really, really scary. So in any event, Uncle Ted, just being Uncle Ted. I don't know why these people cover Uncle Ted other than to just try to make him look bad, or to just validate their own insecurity, because they have no views on things, right? They have no views. They just accept what they're told. Yes. Do I agree? Yes. But it's more complicated, right? That he won. Yes. Okay. But there's a byline to that. He won, but it's okay to say that he won, but. And now, Nugent, who's got strong views on this and is trying to be equal time to the thousands of media outlets that all are parrots. They just parrot the same thing, and nobody has any original thoughts. And it's hard to find those original thoughts. And when you do find them, oftentimes they get banned or censored. So here we are, the year 2022. Ted Nugent, of course, a statesman, a great guitar player, and a fine American. And you can check him out. He's got a lot of stuff going on as usual, his websites and his campfire talks. And I might have to go watch his personal State of the Union, because I would have certainly enjoyed that more than the one that I watched. And the only reason I watched it was because I wanted to see how bad things are. And things are really, really bad in this country. And they're only going to get worse if we continue going down this same path.